There was no explosion, no breaking news, no world leaders shaking fists, just two nations who stopped speaking. Not a treaty, not a truce, just silence that hardened into stone. But silence is never empty. It holds memories, regret, and sometimes quiet acts of courage. This is a story not of conflict, but of the fragile things that dared to survive it. Long before the silence, there was trust. In the 1960s, Israel helped build Iran's agriculture. Iran opened its oil to Israeli engineers. There were handshakes, not headlines, and cooperation, not conflict. Between embassies and trade offices, letters passed quietly, blueprints for schools, for water systems, even for hospitals. It wasn't politics, it was people building futures, together. In 1979, Iran's monarchy fell. A revolution swept the country, its rhythm not of politics, but of pain. Old alliances dissolved overnight. The Israeli embassy was emptied, files burned, doors locked, from trusted friend to distant stranger. The phone lines went quiet. Planes stopped flying. Letters were never answered. In the silence, suspicion grew roots, but no one declared war. No one dared to speak of peace, just silence and waiting. They no longer spoke, but they listened. Radio signals, intercepts, shadows trailing shadows. Without a war, a quiet game began, played in alleys, wires, and whispers. They built no tanks, they launched no planes, but cables were tapped, names were recorded, footsteps were counted. Espionage became the new diplomacy, and silence, its language. A name appears in the news, then disappears forever. A physicist, a teacher, a father, killed not on a battlefield, but in the middle of a morning commute. No warning, no justice, just silence, again. Behind every headline is a kitchen without footsteps. A mother still sets 2 cups of tea, one for a son who never returned. In the war of shadows, grief has no flag, and no enemy cries alone. In 2010, Iran's centrifuges began to fail. No explosion, no invasion, just lines of silent code, slipping through computers like ghosts. It was not a bomb, but it behaved like one. Dozens of machines destroyed. Years of work undone. No blood was spilled, but lives were still shaken. In the digital age, war needs no battlefield, just silence and access. Far from embassies and borders, 2 men meet in a Berlin cafe. One is Iranian, one is Israeli. They speak not of politics, but of poetry. The only flag in the room is a napkin folded into a paper crane. In cities like Paris, Toronto, and New York, walls once built from fear are now painted with shared stories. Iranian and Israeli artists perform together. They don't erase the past. They rewrite it with color. No passport, no visa, no approval. And yet, a Persian melody finds its way into a Tel Aviv guitar, played not on a stage, but in a park where strangers sit and listen and forget who's supposed to be enemy. In exile, words became wings. Iranian poets wrote of longing. Israeli singers turned them into song. No permission was asked. Only the heart responded. In every verse, a quiet defiance against hatred. When revolutions roar, minorities often fall silent. In post-revolution Iran, thousands of Jews stayed behind. Not enemies, not agents, just neighbors who no longer felt safe. But someone was still watching and remembering. Late at night, in silence, they moved. No medals, no headlines, just quiet extraction of families across mountains and borders. It wasn't a military order, it was a human one. Because rescue doesn't ask for applause. History is not just written in stone. Sometimes it whispers through cracks, in classrooms, in kitchens, in conversations between people who refuse to hate. And though leaders may turn away, the door has never truly closed. Peace is not loud. It does not announce itself. It begins with listening, with stories, with seeing a stranger as human first. This is not the end of a war. It is the beginning of hearing differently.